Welcome back to another episode of Road to William. So today's discussion is basically about my experience in the workplace being trans. I've been in security for some years now, and I had started transitioning about almost 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years ago. Yeah, I don't know how to get into this nicely, but I've been with this one company for a while, like over a year, and they were one of the ones where they were seeing my transition, they were experiencing it, blah blah blah. And there were some drop moments of the wrong pronouns and things like that. But I had a conversation about it with my supervisor. It was cool, boo boo boo. And we kind of just moved forward. And most importantly, like I worked by myself, so I didn't really interact with a lot of people, and so that's important to know, right? So let's fast forward to this year, present day. Switched company, still security, but I'm with this new company, and I went from securing like buildings and stuff to like now is residential. And I never really wanted to do residential because you deal with, you would imagine, way more people, right? And um, so yeah, started with this new company. Not gonna go into it with the company, but off rip, like the the other security guards, they say my pronouns. They may be a little hesitant. One did slip up, say she, but then she was like, oh, I mean he. And so that's only occurred per se with like the guards. When it comes to the residents is where I'm experiencing more transphobia. One of the incidents happened where it was because I was letting a group of people know that it's after, the hours where you're supposed to be, where the amenities are. Everybody knows this. You know what I mean? It's rare occasions if somebody knew, but most of the time, everybody knows what time they need to leave, right? So it was like a person in the group that was like drunk, and was like, oh, she, this, that, they're not calling me she and all that. Another time. And then, so like her friends had to like be like, be quiet, like, da da da. They got her out the room. And then another time was where I had to tell people they couldn't be by the pool. You gotta go, you gotta leave. They were, what I mean? I even gave them some minutes, to like break out. But off rip, they were on bull because when I was like, hey, just to let you know, you gotta leave the area, it's closing time, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, all right, cool. And when they didn't think I heard them, I'm walking away. I have like really good ears. They're like, one of them was like, yeah, like 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, off rip, I already know it's gonna be an issue. But I got other places to check, so I'm gonna come back, right? So I checked the other spots, come back to the pool. They're still there. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And so I'm like, hey, you guys gotta leave now, blah, blah. And people usually don't like when you tell them what to do, right? Like people they don't like that. And so now they're trying to ask questions like, oh, when does it close? Oh, mind you, I've seen y'all around here. Like you know this stuff. So at this point, I'm just standing there because you're not supposed to be in this area. This is the floor I'm supposed to be on, anyways. So it's just like I'm gonna just sit here till y'all leave. And they're like, you don't have to stand there. We're leaving. Blah blah blah. Okay, I disengage at this point because you guys want problems. You got hella beer on the table. You're lit. You gotta go. You got a baby by the pool. What are we doing? You know what I mean? So And so one of the people in the crew was like, she thinks she's a man, but she's not. And they were like, oh my God. So it's like, I've been experiencing a lot of transphobia, too much for me to take. And I haven't brought this up to my supervisor again because the company itself. And so I'm just like, it has its own issues, right? I'm just like going through this silently. I haven't told any other guards. I haven't told anybody else because what's really going on is I'm experiencing more transphobia the more I step out and going about my life. I experience transphobia usually with people I know already, and that's one thing. I think what's getting me right now is now it's like I'm being more exposed to more strangers, more, people out in the world. And I usually would what? Go to work at my old job. I'll go to work, come home, maybe go out every once in a while. I don't really go out like that. I like being at the crib. I like to be chilled, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm more exposed out into the world, it's like now I'm more exposed to the transphobic people. The more I speak out about how I feel about, the queer community and how I want to be treated, like the more I'm exposed to people around me that, you know, want to express how they can't stand queer people. Like, it's like, I think at one point, because I grew up with people around being able to say whatever they wanted and people would accept that, and it was like an acceptable thing to shun people like me in the queer community who's different. It's easy for people to get in a group and attack. So I've been used to that because it was like people I've known. It'll be family, it'll be friends, colleagues, whatever. But then when it's more like uh, now it's like strangers, it's like now it's like I'm dealing with it both sides, and I'm like, this is really what comes with it. And I was questioning myself too, like at some point, because I'm like, am I not passing? Am I like, I know my voice isn't that deep. I know this, I know that. And it really took a toll on me because I try to, build on my confidence and things like that. But when you're still building, I think it's hard to not be affected by things that, to some who, there's people who experience this all the time and they can shrug stuff off like, yes, hey, it is what it is. Keep pushing. It doesn't matter. But it's like the reality. And that's why I kind of separate myself from a lot of people is like, I go off how I truly feel. Like, I truly feel like sometimes I just want to hide away and just be like, you know, it's easier. You know what I mean? And then it's like I always feel alone. But then I watch stories, see stories, people tell me like that they'll go through the same things, like you're not alone. But you are when you're experiencing it in the moment. Like you are alone and you have to figure out how do you deal with this alone. And me, I was proud of myself, even though I was like hurt by what the comments were by the strangers. Like I was proud of myself that I didn't engage, you know what I mean, in the foolery. Like, because I've told you guys in past videos, my anger did like increase more when I got on testosterone, because I noticed myself, instead of crying so much, I was getting more angry. And I was just like, in that moment, I was infuriated. Like, I was pissed. But it was like, and you know, you can easily forget you're at your job. Like, you be like, because it was more like, it wasn't even really like I'm at work. It was like me internally talking to myself to calm myself down. Like, that has everything to do with them. That has nothing to do with you. That just shows who they are. You know, let them talk. And it's like really like talking to yourself in your head, so you don't go off on people. So you don't, you know what I mean? And I know who I am. I know what I look like. You know, people may know what I look like. Like, bro, you not even that tall. You not even that strong. You don't even. That has nothing to do with adrenaline, and also the lack you think of someone else. I learned something from somebody once, because they had told me they didn't see their opponent as a threat ever, right? And that's dangerous, because if that's how people think sometimes, then you're gonna have a rude or you're gonna have a rude awakening when that opponent shocks. So I always went by the rule of, I don't ever think less of the next person. And I don't want people to think that of me either. I don't want people to think, oh, because of this and that, I can't, you know? And so that's, you know what I mean? It's being fully aware of your surroundings, who you're with. I believe when you have to fight for your life, if it comes down to it, I believe you can do it. I believe I can do it. You know, and it's like you never want to get to that point. But for me specifically, I have to think two steps ahead of the next person, because people are threatened by trans people. They're threatened. They feel a way about it. And it's like, in that situation, in these situations, you know, I'm just doing my job. I'm saying, hey, you can't be here anymore. You know what I mean? And you're getting upset because you gotta leave the area. You have a whole apartment with a balcony gold. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? And but people like to use stuff against you. They want to get a rise out of you. They want to, you know, but the key, the true key, the gem is to not let them win. You know, I could have went off. I could have said this, that, and the third, but I didn't, because that wouldn't have solved anything. Sometimes I look at the after effect, because it's like, okay, and after all that's said and done, then what happens? Then what? I'm the then what nigga. Then what? Because sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And so, and I was at work, you know, but if I felt like I was being threatened, you know, you know what I, so it just like put me more in a reality of, there's people who's gonna talk shit, but then there's people, you know, you really gotta double look at, because we're in a world of, and I'm gonna just tie it all in, we're in a world where trans people are dying every day. Trans people are a target. People like to look for targets, you know. Um, and when we put out transphobic rhetoric, homophobic rhetoric, when you put it on your social media page, when you send messages to people about it, like, you're part of that transphobia. You're part of the homophobia, because you're not educating anybody on the rhetoric. What you're doing is pushing an agenda to further say trans people are not accepted, they're not wanted. And I was fooled a few times by people where I thought they accepted me for who I am, but they turned out they didn't. And those are just lessons because you learn each lesson, right? You learn, you go back and be like, dang, I missed. There was some red flags at some point that I missed. And I move with caution. I move more careful now because, and I don't have too many friends, in my roster. And I'm okay with that because I'd rather have people in my circle that are down for me, like for real, not people who claim they're down, but then behind closed doors, they're just like talking crap. They don't really accept. I don't like being around people like that. Life's too short to be around people like that. But this video was just to get this off my chest and to be, to give somebody else encouragement, in that moment is really that matters. We can talk all we want, give advice, all this, but in the moment, when you're in that moment and you're like, damn, just remember who you are at the end of the day, because people will try to purposely hurt you, even if they don't know you. I haven't posted in a while. I was going through it. I was really stressed. This job is stressful. And but thank God for, job searches and stuff. So, but I just want to encourage people to, keep your head up, even when it's hard. Take a breather, take a walk, step outside, chill, breathe, vibe to some music, sit in silence for a little bit, but get back to you, because no one is out there like you. So make sure you're out there being you. If you like this video, go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Be on the lookout for more videos. Me and my cousin, we're going to be reviewing The Shy. So be on the lookout for that. Peace.